Hello everybody. In this video, we will try to understand some more important things about Navamsha chakra. See, in Vedic astrology, the Navamsha chart, that is the D9 chart, is a divisional chart that provides very deep insights in the planetary strengths of your horoscope. So fundamentally, your birth chart or your Rashi chart, or is called as D1 chart, shows what is promised in your life, but the Navamsha chart is the chart that can show how and when those promises will be manifested. We'll discuss that in our upcoming videos as well. One important thing is, for sure, Navamsha chart is the main chart that can show your marriage and relationships. It's the primary chart for understanding your marital life, spouse qualities, and relationship harmony. And then the spiritual growth and the dharma of the native can also be understood by D9 very well. See, because it is the ninth division, right? It's connected to dharma. Ninth division means it is connected to dharma. It shows spiritual evolution, ethical values, and life purpose. And planetary strengths. Whenever you want to see the planetary strengths, you have to see both D1 and D9, not a chart alone, right? Because see, a planet exalted in D1 but debilitated in D9 loses its strength basically. Also, a weak planet in D1 can gain power in D9 and can perform well later point of time in your life. So just because it is debilitated in D1, it doesn't mean that it's not going to give any results. But later point of time, how it gives the results can be analyzed by your Navamsha chakra. So the whole thing can be average because it's debilitated in D1. So initially it is not going to give you very good results in the initial part of your life. So as a whole, you would see the debilitated planet in D1 and thereby gaining power in D9 can give you some good results later part of time, but when you see as per your whole life, it is a kind of average planet only altogether. But anyways, it's going to give results because it is good in D9. That is one important thing. And how it gives results, at least in the Navamsha, what is its dignity and all, that we need to analyze. See, the inner nature and outer behavior, that is another important thing when you talk about Navamsha chakra. Because see, D1 is your personality, but D9 is your soul's path, your internal behavior. It's a kind of your internal compass, D9, right? But D1 is your personality. And I want to tell you the important houses that you need to examine, that you need to analyze when you're checking your Navamsha chart. So first thing is your ascendant of D9. This ascendant may or may not be same as your D1. In your D1 you would be of some Taurus ascendant, and in your Navamsha chart it would be another ascendant. But sometimes it can be same also, the ascendant can be same also. Then that case, the ascendant is called Vargottama Lagna, right? That we discussed in the previous video anyways. But see, first you need to check, when you are seeing Navamsha chart, the first thing you need to check is your ascendant, your Lagna in the Navamsha chart, not in the D1 chart. I am telling you, when you are analyzing Navamsha chart, check what is the Lagna or ascendant of your Navamsha chart, that is D9 chart, because it represents the true inner self, your spiritual maturity and your direction in life. So if it is very strong, the native aligns with their soul's path. If let us say the D1 chart, if your D9 chart, that is the Navamsha chakra, ascendant is Aries ascendant, and your Mars is the lord of the ascendant of your Navamsha chakra. If that Mars is very strong, then your soul path is very strong. So a benefic planet here gives a kind of balance and dignity. So this house, that is the ascendant of D9, this house becomes extremely important if you're analyzing someone's overall life direction beyond just materialism. If you want to check the life's direction, then that is the soul path that you want to check, then first thing you need to check is the D9 chart's ascendant, the behavior of the ascendant lord of the D9. Now second house that you need, the next house that you need to check is the 7th house of Navamsha chakra, because that is the house that can give lot of information about marriage and partnerships of the native. So it's the most important for marital life, you can say. It tells about the quality of spouse, their inner nature, and relationship aspects as well, right? So if there is any benefic in the 7th house, then yes, it indicates harmony in the marriage life. If there is a malefic, then yes, there are some problems for that native, for sure. So malefics like Mars or Ketu, those things can bring tensions, can bring detachment, can bring some kind of conflict, right? In the Navamsha chakra, in the 7th house, if you're finding some problematic planets, yes, then the marriage life would not be very comfortable. Also, you need to check the aspect on the 7th house. If there is a Jupiter aspect in the Navamsha chakra, there is a Jupiter aspect on the 7th house. I'm talking about the 7th house of your Navamsha chakra, not at all about your D1 chart. Got it? Now, that is, so the next house that you need to check, first one is your ascendant or the first house and its lord's dignity, and the next one is your 7th house. If there is any planet in the 7th house, what is it? It's a malefic, then you may face problems in your marriage life and you need to do some propitiations for that. And then you need to check the 7th lord, the 7th house lord, right? So the most important thing here I want to tell you is, instead of checking the Lord, first of all, you need to check if there is any planet in that house. That has more say in the Navamsha. As per, my understanding of different horoscopes, I observed what is the planet present in that house. That is the most important thing in the Navamsha chakra. Of course, if there is no planet there, you will definitely check the Lord of it. But when you are analyzing Navamsha, the first preference goes to the planet sitting there compared to the Lord of that house, right? And then the 9th house, right? First ascendant, you check if there is any planet. Otherwise, if the ascendant Lord has very good dignity or not. Yes, if there is no planet in the house, then yes, the next preference definitely goes to the Lord of that house. That is a fundamental thing in astrology, but in Navamsha it is much more it's much more important, I can say. And the ascendant and the 7th house, now the 9th house, that is your dharma, your fortune, your spiritual guru or your teachers, whatever, whoever is guiding you in your life, that those things can be understood by 9th house. So because it represents your luck, your past life merits, that is called as purva punya, your spiritual guidance and your dharmic path in this life. See, if it is very strong, if your 9th house is very strong in the Navamsha chakra, the person, then you are very fortunate, I would say. You would be guided by higher principles in this life. It's very, very important, especially for spiritual seekers. If you are into spirituality, let us say you are not into marriage and all, you are into spiritual path, then the most important thing that you need to check is the 9th house of your Navamsha chakra. That's the most important thing, I would say. Then generally, after checking this 179, we generally check the 10th house also, because to some extent you can understand about your career also by using Navamsha chakra, but to understand better about your career you have to check the D10 chart. We'll talk about D10 chart later, but 10th house in the Navamsha can also show something about your career and karma. It shows your soul's work, basically what career or path aligns with your inner nature. A powerful 10th house in the Navamsha chakra indicates that your professional life is aligned with your dharma, because Navamsha chakra is about your dharma. Fundamentally, is a dharma platform. So your 10th house is very strong. Let us say in the Navamsha chakra, it just shows that your professional life is aligned with your dharma, right? It is not showing that, whether you're going to get a lot of fame, or of course if your inner nature and your professional life is having same pattern, then yes, you will get a lot of fame, but how much money you would earn, those things better you see the D10 chart, right? So it's important to analyze the career related success, all those things better you analyze D10. But whether your career is aligned with your soul's purpose, with your dharma or not, right? With your inner nature, inner soul's nature or not, can be understood by 10th house in the Navamsha chakra. That much we can say from Navamsha, career and karma things. Also, we can check the second and fourth houses of Navamsha chakra, because that shows, see, you're checking about marriage and spouse and all. That's the main interest of this, in the modern age. A main interest of this Navamsha is into marriage and spouse. So we can also check the second and fourth house of Navamsha, because it gives some idea about your family and domestic life. So these particular houses, these houses, second house and fourth house of Navamsha chakra can help assess the domestic happiness after the marriage, right? So the second house, because it shows your values towards family after marriage, your speech, how you would be your speech after marriage. Some people have a different speech after marriage. That's because of the second house in the Navamsha. And the fourth house, that is your emotional peace and domestic comforts after marriage. So fourth house can tell you after marriage how is your domestic life, how is your emotional peace and all. So second house and fourth house of Navamsha also matters, because after marriage how those things are in your life. And there are some planets that you need to check in the Navamsha chakra. So the first planet you need to check if you're a male is Venus. Venus is the karaka for marriage and relationships for males especially. So it's the most important planet in the D9 chart, you can say, for males. So its placement shows the quality of love, quality of romance, sexual compatibility and joy in married life. If Venus is not afflicted, if Venus is not in conjunction with malefic planets like Rahu, Ketu, Saturn, Mars, then you would have much more sexual compatibility, much more romance in your life. If your Venus in the Navamsha is somewhere disturbed, then you may not be very much happy with the romance or the quality of love or the sexual compatibility and joy that you get in your married life. A well-placed Venus in the Navamsha, often it is very much a great indication of satisfaction in your marriage life. Even Venus is weak in D1. That much of importance is given to D9 chart, the placement of Venus in the D9 chart. Now, for females, definitely they have to check the Jupiter's dignity in the Navamsha chakra, because it is the karaka of husband for women. And of course, for males also, it is the karaka for wisdom. So in female charts, Jupiter in the Navamsha indicates the nature of the husband and marital happiness. So a strong Jupiter, if you see in the Navamsha chakra, you can see a wise, a dharmic life path and ability to follow some spiritual values, some ethical values can be understood. So when you're checking a female horoscope, you better check the Navamsha, the Jupiter position in the Navamsha, how much the girl would follow the ethical and spiritual values in her marriage life. So it also represents some blessings and inner wisdom. For males and females, they have to check this one, because you may want to check your what kind of blessings and inner wisdom you have in this life. So Jupiter's position in the Navamsha is important. Now, another planet that generally people check is Mars, because it is the planet that indicates vitality, passion, and desire. Especially important in male charts for analyzing, the passion and the kind of masculinity after marriage, the kind of conflicts in marriage. To understand that, Mars behavior in the Navamsha is very much important. Let us say if Mars is badly placed somewhere in the Cancer sign, debilitated, it is bringing a lack of assertiveness, a kind of suppressed anger or issues in the relationship, right? So Mars not having good dignity in the Navamsha chart is not a good sign at all for male candidates especially. And another important planet that you may need to check in the Navamsha is Moon, because Moon represents your mind, emotions, and contentment finally, right? So that shows your emotional maturity and peace in your inner life, in the Navamsha especially. Whatever Navamsha shows, that is how you actually feel. That is your inner life, I would say. You see, some people have a very strong moon in the Navamsha chakra. Whatever happens, there would be a lot of chaos and lot of things happening, but their mind, emotions, and contentment is very much, complete, because their moon in the Navamsha chakra is very good, and their emotional maturity and peace is in another level, right? So that's where, even though those so many things, so many problems are happening, but the person is actually happy inside, because his moon is very strong in the Navamsha chakra. That's why moon has to be checked. A calm and benefic moon in Navamsha supports emotional intelligence also. It's a kind of, they can manage the relationships, they can balance the relationships also very well, even though they are getting some conflicts because of other planets in the marriage. And another important thing, especially for spiritual seekers, is Ketu, because your spiritual path can also be understood by Navamsha chakra, because Ketu shows your spirituality. Of course, detachment also, to some not to some extent, it shows detachment also. See, Ketu's placement in the Navamsha chakra reveals areas where the soul seeks liberation or renunciation. That's why when a person's Ketu is, the Ketu's placement in the Navamsha, if you see Ketu in some, let us say, some house, he wants let us say Ketu in the 6th house in the Navamsha. That means he wants liberation in the 6th house areas, right? The soul seeks liberation from the 6th house related areas. It can be enemies, diseases, debts, and all, because those are all the 6th house related things. The soul really wants liberation from all those, right? So let us say if Ketu is in the 7th house or with Venus, it may bring detachment from marriage, obviously, right? If spiritually inclined, then that is a different story, that the spiritual inclination can manage marriage better. That's what you can say. But if Ketu is in the 7th house in the Navamsha chakra, or it is with Venus in the Navamsha chakra, it means it is going to bring detachment from the marriage. But if you are spiritually inclined, anyways you are spiritually inclined, now Ketu's work is done, now it is not going to bring any detachment in the marriage, but you would be with your partner, but a kind of detachment you would maintain. The energy balance would be there, right? Because you're already feeling that detachment innerly, then Ketu is satisfied there. Now, Lagna Lord of D9 chart is is a first and foremost important thing that you can say. And the seventh house and the ninth house, 10th house, second house, fourth house, Venus, Jupiter, Ketu, Mars, Moon. These are all the things that you check. And because see, Lagna Lord, we see the first, that is the first planet, that is the first thing that we see, because the ruler of the Navamsha Lagna, that is the ascendant, tells a lot about how the native will approach dharma, how he approaches in marriage life, how he approaches his inner self. So its strength and dignity are key to the overall Navamsha chart reading, I can say. Right? So these are all some of the most important things that you need to check whenever you're analyzing this Navamsha chart. Right? So let us say in your D1 Venus is exalted in Pisces, but in D9 you see Venus is in Virgo, it's debilitated. So though the person appears charming, their inner satisfaction in marriage may be lacking. Because D1 is good, in D1 Venus is good, he is appearing charming, but what about his inner satisfaction in marriage? It's lacking because in D9 Venus is not so comfortable. Talking about male horoscope, of course. So there may be some disappointment or detachment in relationships, because Venus is showing it's debilitated in D9 chart. And let us say in the Navamsha chakra you're seeing 7th lord, he is placed in the 6th house, so possible conflicts in marriage, unless of course there are some benefic aspects on this 7th lord in the 6th house. If Jupiter is watching that 7th lord sitting in the 6th house, the marriage conflict would be reduced by time. Or if the person is spiritually oriented, because this Navamsha is always about your spiritual orientation as well, your inner self. So if you have a lot of spiritual orientation, that 7th house sitting in the 6th house, 7th lord sitting in the 6th house may not be impacting you much. Right? The spirituality is a kind of key most of the times to maintain your egos, aggressions and all these things. By that you would be relieved from a lot of the things. But the strength and those things also have to be checked, right? So these are all the houses and planets that you have to check whenever you are analyzing your Navamsha. So let us say in your Rashi chart, that is in D1, Jupiter is in Capricorn, that means debilitated. In D9, that is in Navamsha chart, Jupiter is in Sagittarius, that is own sign, and also the Mula Trikona house, that is the duty performing house. See, Jupiter and Capricorn in D1 means what? Capricorn is the sign of Jupiter's debilitation, that's called Nicha Rashi, we say. So it struggles to express its natural qualities. Right? Debilitation means what? The planet struggles there to express its natural qualities. What are Jupiter's natural qualities? Wisdom, higher knowledge, morality, ethics, dharma. It represents children, it represents your teacher, guru. If it is a female child, it represents husband. It also represents a kind of expansion in your life, your spiritual inclination and all. But Capricorn, what is Capricorn? It's ruled by Saturn. So Jupiter feels restricted, practical and bound by these material goals in the Capricorn. Capricorn is a material world completely. It's a karma house ruled by Saturn. So it cannot, so here Jupiter cannot freely express its spiritual, benevolent and expansive energy. So the native may struggle with faith, confidence and optimism and all the things related to Jupiter. And also there may be some issues related to guru or children or husband for women, if it is a women horoscope. So kind of the native may need to adopt a kind of mechanical or rigid worldview, focusing too much on rules or results. Right? So this is the outer expression. See, D1 is how world sees your karma and personality. D1 is about how world sees your karma and personality, because in your D1 Jupiter is debilitated, so that's how world sees you. Now what does Jupiter and Sagittarius in D9 then? Navamsha, and suddenly in the Navamsha it is in the Sagittarius, that is in its own sign. That means, see, in Navamsha, that is in D9, Jupiter is in its own sign Sagittarius, a fiery sign ruled by Jupiter itself. So Sagittarius is a sign of dharma, it's a truth seeking, it's expansion, it's a sign of expansion, it's a sign of spirituality. A very natural place for Jupiter to express its full power and grace and behavior. Right? So Jupiter and Sagittarius and Navamsha, that means, see, internally the native is aligned with higher truths. Outside maybe it's debilitated, but inside he is aligned with higher truths. He has a very good moral compass, and he would be, maybe he is drawn to some teaching, philosophy or spirituality. Inward, right? Even if externally in D1, externally, D1 shows the external picture, D9 shows your internal picture. So even if externally, that is in D1, it is debilitated, it appears that they struggle with Jupiterian qualities like, all whatever qualities of Jupiter, if they are struggling, if it appears to be they're struggling, but deep within, but inner self, they aspire, they stick to that truth, ethics and wisdom. Right? So over time, what happens? Especially after maturity age of Jupiter, that is around 16, or based on the maturity of Jupiter, the native may grow into these qualities. You will see the native would not be struggling in all this, because in Navamsha it has good dignity. So debilitated in D1 but own sign in D9, that means it's one of the good examples I should always tell. That is, the Navamsha reveals the true potential of a planet, even if it is weaker in the D1 chart, or even if it is afflicted or weaker or whatever. In D1 it is not good, but in D9 it is good. D1 here in our example, Jupiter is debilitated. It has a weaker outer expression. Troubled areas it is showing in the life for outer expression. But as time goes on, Jupiter in the Navamsha is in its own sign. That means the inner strength is blooming. It's a late blooming, you can say. Right? So Jupiter's weakness may just be a test, or is a kind of initial karmic difficulty, we say. But within the time, as time passes, the person develops all the strong dharmic qualities, wisdom and respects righteous living and all. Right? Initially the Jupiter qualities would be lacking, we would say. But later point of time, he would become much more into all Jupiter things. For marriage and spiritual growth may blossom later in life, especially after the age of 30 or 35, we say. Right? So this is, if it is a woman chart, then we say Jupiter is the Karaka for husband in a woman chart. So if Jupiter is debilitated in D1, it can suggest delays, issues or dissatisfaction in marriage or with the partner. However, in D9, Jupiter is in Sagittarius, right? So it shows husband may be wise, spiritual, truthful, is a scholar, or marriage may mature well over time, or the woman may grow to respect or rely on her husband deeply, even if the beginning was a bit frictional. Right? Or spouse may appear strict or practical externally, but internally the spouse is very good. Right? So the expression of a planet changes as it is gaining some strength in the Navamsha. So just by seeing the D1 chart, we should not conclude. That is what I want to tell you. Right? So this is my view about Navamsha Chakra. So thanks for watching this video. Try to understand much more good things in our future videos. Thank you.